Join us.
All right, welcome all to the CSU sponsored Military Author Takeover. We are right here in Virginia at Veterans Growing America. You got to come on by here and make sure that you show some love to VGA. But we have with us today Miss Karmin Jenkins. Everybody, please give her a round of applause. Woo-woo! We are excited to talk to you about your book. And so our next feature author, she reminds readers that real transformation starts with honesty, healing, and the courage to live as your authentic self. And you know that strikes a chord for me. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed. Before we get into any questions, though, tell the viewers, who is Karmin?
I always start off by saying I'm still just a little girl from Cleveland, Ohio, who has grown up and has had the opportunity to travel the world. I left home at the ripe age of 17, very naive. As most teenagers, thought I knew everything, but really didn't know a whole lot of anything. And joined the Army. I was in the delayed entry program. And so I joined the Army a year before graduating from high school. And I could not wait to get out of Cleveland until I left Cleveland. Had a rude awakening, went through training, and thought, what have I gotten myself into? I had my first duty station was in Berlin, Germany. So it was one new culture after another. And but I stayed for 28 years. So it wasn't too bad.
That's right.
I was 9.5 years enlisted, and then I went back home to school and went through ROTC, and then retired in 2006 as a major.
Congratulations. That's good stuff. Thank you for your service.
Thank
Appreciate you. Now, your book is entitled Be True to You. Be True to You. So what inspired you to write Be True to You? There you were on a beautiful day. And what happened?
Right. Sun was shining.
Sun shining.
No. Birds were chirping. Not even. No, it really is a culmination of everything that I learned and experienced up until the point when I wrote the book, which was last summer. I grew up in a family, as most families, that had its good and bad aspects. The bad aspects was I experienced a lot of trauma, so there were a lot of things that I learned that I should not have learned. But the good aspects were I grew up in a family that was primarily matriarchal. And so the women in my family were very much focused on taking care of business. And so I learned at an early age about planning for the future and having your finances, having all those documents that you need to have for the rest of your life, and getting an education. And they wanted to make sure, as best they could, because a lot of opportunities they did not have, that the future generations coming would be able to have the experience of opportunities if they so desired. And so me being me wanted to have all of those experiences. And as I was able to travel and be in the military, I started off in the medical field and ended up being a social worker. And so I learned a lot about people and families, and just really began to get a little disheartened. Not just one culture, but many cultures just did not prepare for the future. And we're just really trying to make it day to day, looking really good on the outside, but having their personal affairs not really in place. And so when I left the military, which was in 2006, that's when I retired. And then I had the opportunity to work for the federal government as well. But I found that it really didn't matter where people were in life, how successful they were, how much education they had, male or female. There were still a lot of things that people had not planned and prepared for. And so I really thought that it would really be good if they just kind of had something that they could pick up and just kind of take a assessment, a survey of their life to see where they really are. So it was all up here for many years. When I left the military and I was still working for the federal government as a social worker, I retired in 2017 from the federal government, so I became a life coach. And still some of the same issues, but I found them more so with the younger generation. And so I really said, we really need to be able to get a handle on some things. We don't need all these GoFundMes, and we don't need all these things that after the fact. We really need to plan and prepare and have our holistic life healthy. And so I finally just kind of sat down last summer and just started putting some pen to paper. But then wanted to also have the aspect of the book for those that have a spiritual or Christian foundation, for those that want to add that as well. So I put some scripture references in the back of the book,
Okay.
so that people would be able to blend the two if that's what they desired to do. But I'm finding that it has brought out a voice, for people that may not have been really verbal about where they really are and been honest about it.
Okay.
Sometimes we portray certain things on social media,
Right.
and we look like we're living large,
Yeah.
but we're really not. And so the feedback that I've gotten is that, this has really kind of helped me take a pause, take a really good look at my life. And there's really some things that I have to be honest that I really have not gotten together.
And that's such a great segue into my next question as I'm listening to you go through why you wrote Be True to You. Why do you think that being authentic or authenticity is so difficult for some people?
It's been before COVID. I think we've had an invisible mask that many of us have worn for a lot of our lives. But since COVID, many of us have, taken off the visible mask, but we're still portraying lives that really are not authentic. There's things that people say, imposter syndrome. But I really believe that we are living the lives that we're most comfortable with living, and the aspects of our lives, whether they're healed, unhealed, but we tend to gravitate to what's easier, what we're comfortable with, and that's the road that we tend to drift down, or a road that we tend to walk down. But those areas that we're not too comfortable with are the ones we kind of want to push back, and we don't always want other people to know about them. And so, again, with AI and social media, it's easier to kind of create the life that you want others to believe that you're living, and to not really deal with the life you really have.
Yeah, that you said a whole word there. So then what role do you think healing takes in this process?
Yeah, it's essential.
Becoming your true self.
I think earlier someone mentioned identity. You have to really know who you are. That's the first step. And for some, including myself, some discover that earlier in life than others. And some of us, it takes longer to find out who we really are. And sometimes we don't understand who we really are because we've been trying to be everything that everyone says we should be.
Yes.
And so sometimes you have to go back to where that first began. Like, why am I trying to drive so? Why am I so driven? Why do I feel like I need to have and always have, and that's not enough for me? What's at the root? I'm a person that believes in let's dig up those roots and find out where things began, so that you don't keep revisiting the same things. Even when it comes to our spending, there's a reason why we do what we do with our money, or why we don't. But until we really understand why, then we can't heal those areas.
So in talking about those healed areas, I want to go a little deeper here. And so tell me then, how do readers begin to rebuild after something painful, after, a tragedy, some type of painful experience? How do they rebuild?
Yeah, it's identifying the hurt, the pain, the wound, and then finding out what it's going to take for you, because for all of us, it's something different, what it's going to take for you to really be where you want to be. Many times, if you think about just a wound in general in our skin, there's layers of our skin. And if we don't get to the layer where the wound has been impacted, if we just cover that up, then the healing is really not taking place. And so you have to uncover, discover, and be open and honest and vulnerable, sometimes even with ourselves, about what's really hidden under the surface.
That's painful in itself to just do that unpeeling. Having the ability to do that and be ready to face it head on.
Can't be. Yeah, can't be.
No, I appreciate it. So you've written something, Karmin, that I think anyone in any walk of life can pick up. When you look at your body of work, what do you hope people release? Not so that's the difference, right? So what do you hope people release while reading this book? what do you think is that emotional release that you would want to visualize people achieving while they're reading your book?
Yeah, that's good. That we don't all have it together.
Mm-hmm.
None of us do, from our president on down.
Mm-hmm.
We all have areas of our lives that need improvement. And so if we start with that,
Mm-hmm.
and as you said, releasing, sometimes it's releasing the hopes of what has not yet taken place.
Yeah.
Some of us may have wanted to be a millionaire, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're not there yet. Still doesn't mean it's not attainable.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it yet going to take for you to get there?
Yeah.
Some people want to be married. Some people don't want to be married. Some people want to have children. Some people don't want to have children. So when you're able to be honest with yourself first and live your life as close to the middle
Mm-hmm.
of that honesty as you can,
Mm-hmm.
then I think the release will come.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. So in writing this book, every author always talks about, either the time that they had to write this book, the initial time, like what was that point? We talked about that, so out of all of this time, and I'm sure you look back at, you wrote a book and then you went back and went, man, some of this is going to make it, some of this is not. I want to edit this. But what chapter in your finished book did you feel most personal about? Like what chapter and then what part of the book where you went, this is the heartbeat of my book?
Yeah, it's chapter 7,
Mm-hmm.
Living in Alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to have the titles be applicable for
Mm-hmm.
anyone.
Mm-hmm.
My heart and passion is for women, and so I started with it being for women, but it's really for
Mm-hmm.
men too, even for middle school on up,
Mm-hmm.
because we all need to look at the holistic part of our lives and
Mm-hmm.
see where we are. But the living in alignment really spoke to me specifically because it took me a while to really get there.
Okay.
I spent a lot of years and a lot of time doing and being what I thought I was supposed to do and be,
Oh yeah.
and not really being me.
Well, I love that. I love those. I love those notes. I love those notes in there. You're right. We all have.
And
right?
so once I was able to just kind of say, you know what, it's time. It's time to be who you really are and be comfortable and confident with who you are. Not the title, not the label, because there were a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really spoke to me specifically.
Yeah. So I'll just end with a quick 30-second. So what does that mean to you today? What does being true to yourself look like today for you?
Being unapologetically Karmin.
Oh, that's what.
I do what I do, say what I say, and keep it moving.
So, hey, so I appreciate you. This is amazing, body of work, Karmin. And I would tell you to look at that camera and tell them where can they find you, where can they find this book, and where can they call you to get some of this amazing continuation of advice or coaching or whatever it is that that can offer someone just a brighter light in their life.
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. My name is spelled different. It's Karmin. So there aren't too many of those. If you type in Karmin Jenkins, I'll pop up somewhere. I have a website. It's www.ih4al.com. My phone number is 240-415-8218. It's not my personal number.
Oh, yeah, you didn't follow my trap.
That's my business phone. Yeah.
So no, I appreciate it, Dee.
And the book's available on Amazon.
Awesome.
On Amazon. Well, we thank you. Just real quick, one quote that I just want you to finish, and then we're going to be done here. You were never meant to live disconnected from who you are. What does that mean to you? Like, what tell us about that as we close out your segment.
Because we all have a purpose, and identity, knowing who you are, is the key to unlocking that. So when you know who you are, then you can live authentically in that space.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Karmin Jenkins.
Awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you.